Hello, welcome to November's edition of the Monitoring Academy newsletter. My name is Mark Leftwich, and as always I'm here with my colleague Shaun Rodger.
Hi guys.
So, as normal, we're going to run through the top videos, blogs, DW answers, APARs and any important information we feel you need to know from the last month. We're going to jump straight into the video section. We've added 2 videos to the newsletter this month. Both have got quite a lot of hits. The first one is how to configure LDAP on an APM Smart Cloud environment. It's a brilliant step-by-step live demo walkthrough. So if you are using LDAP, which probably most of you are out there, and you're looking at Smart Cloud, definitely one that will save you a fair bit of time.
Yeah, moving on from that, we have another walkthrough, and this one is basically how to install and configure the monitoring agent for Lotus Domino. Must admit, not an agent I'm particularly familiar with, not one we tend to see very often, so it's a really good guide. I did actually take the time to sit and watch this one myself, so well worth checking out, guys.
Yeah, definitely. It's normally the rare ones that catch you out if you don't do it regularly, so this video will hopefully help you avoid some pitfalls on that one.
So next, we're going to look at our top blogs. We've actually got quite a few this month. A lot of good traction, a lot of good content from our engineers. Starting off, we have one from the agent team, and this is looking into upgrading the Java runtime for the VMware VI agent. Now, basically, it's if you change the runtime that we supply, if you upgrade it, change it to another one, there are quite a few steps you need to follow. Luckily, this is an excellent blog. It goes through every step you need to follow so you avoid all the pitfalls and traps and problems. So if this is something you're going to look at, check this out definitely.
Yeah, definitely. That's one for the back pocket. It's not something you'll probably do regularly, but when you do need it, this will be a godsend. Next on the list then, this is how to configure the ITM KDE gateway in failover mode. So a lot of you out there are using the KDE gateway. People are starting to want resiliency more and more with the gateway. So what I've done here is I've built a blog. I've been very kind to you. I've even built you the XML files. So that's normally the one thing we get PMRs raised for, is the XML files that are normally slightly incorrect. You're not far out normally, but there's normally a little tweak here and there. So I've diagrammed it all up for you. I've mapped it. There's 2 types of configurations you can have. You can either have direct failover in pairs or cross failover. So if you are running the KDE gateway and you want to be able to run a bit more resilient, this is probably the one for you. If you do have any questions on this one, drop it on the bottom of the blog and I'll get back to you.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you have written this a couple of months ago? I had a PMR about this. This would have been perfect. This would have saved me so much trouble. So really glad to see it out there now, but you are 2 months too late.
I'm not 2 months too late. Honest answer is I like the people that watch our videos. I have to work with you every day. I have done for 10 years and I do not intend to help you. Moving on, next one, log file monitoring agent for the OS.
It is indeed, and this is for the new APM. Basically, we no longer have a log file agent. This can now be done with the OS agents, and this is sort of just a little introduction to it. There's some links to documentation for further walkthroughs and stuff. So well worth having a look at. This isn't something I was particularly aware of, so this has been really good to know.
Yeah, definitely. Next one up then, this is the silent install of JASSM reporting with the remote DB2 database. Now, for those of you that do have a remote DB2 database and have tried this, this is not the simplest of tasks ever to run through and install. So it's a brilliant blog that one of the US team has written for this. Well worth a read if you are going to set up JAS or TCR that has a Cognos base. So have a read of this one. If you've got any questions, again, post back on the blog and we can get the engineers to respond to you.
And last this month, we have another one from the agent team, and this is again another one from the log file agent, a little bit of flavor of the month, and this is going into the differences between base mode and auto discovery mode. And what we have here is the engineers created this blog, has also created a couple of videos going through what the differences are, how to set up your agent, how to configure it. So if this is something you're going to have a look at or something you want to know a bit more about, check this out, well worth a look.
Yeah, the blog is quite light in content, but it's got some good links to the videos, which is what you really need, is the step-by-step stuff. So definitely have a read of that one if you're using LFA. Okay, next up on the newsletter, we've got the APARs. So we've picked the top 4 APARs here that we think are probably most relevant and ones that you need to know about for the month. We're going to kick off with the first one. This is for an iSeries agent. So this is if you have a message incoming from an iSeries agent, there is a bug currently that it'll actually split the situation into 2 messages coming in rather than 1, so you get duplicate hits. This has been fixed in FixPack 7. If you are using an iSeries agent, it's probably worth just having a read of this to see if it does fit your environment or not. At least you'll know. FixPack 7 is due out in December the 9th, I believe. It's still on target for. So hopefully in a week or 2 you'll have a fix for this anyway.
All right, good to hear. The next one we've got is IV89511, and this is with the summarization and pruning agent, basically still creating partitions in the database for attributes that have been removed. Now, this is something level 3 are looking into. We don't have a fix or a workaround for it yet. It's just something you need to be aware of. It is, unwanted behavior, so we are working on a fix for it.
Yeah, it shouldn't cause you too much harm. It's basically if you've had attributes being collected for a type of agent and then you remove those from the historical collection, it doesn't clean up the database afterwards to remove those tables. So if you're summarizing and pruning, your data will naturally disappear, but the table structure still stands there. So it's not going to take you too much space once they've been cleared out. It's just a case of housekeeping, really. So if you are somebody that likes to keep your databases super clean, this is probably an APAR that you'd want to follow.
Do we know, I know you've been looking into this a little bit, is this something, can the customer just drop these partitions, get rid of them? Do we know?
Theoretically, yes, you can remove the tables. If they're not collecting data on them anymore, there's no reason to have them. I would say if you're looking to do that, though, wait for the APAR, because they're going to build this either in a code fix or they will give you some form of routine to make sure you're doing it cleanly. Okay. Some tables do link in the warehouse, so you need to be careful before you start deleting stuff a little bit.
Okay, all right, good one.
Okay, next up, this is quite a specific APAR for if you're using Oracle Java. If you're in the tech console and using the browser client, and at the moment it only affects the browser client, you can't open the workflow from the topology. This seems to be a Java bug related to the software, so you need to downgrade to U99 or lower to be able to make sure this works. If you go above 99, 100 or 101, I think we're on at the moment, you're going to hit this bug. So the workaround, if you are using Oracle Java, is to use WebStart or the desktop client, and you should have no problems. It's specifically for the browser client at the moment, so just keep an eye on that one if you are in the Oracle Java remit.
And the last one this month, it is IV89574. And basically this is another one with the log file agent. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Essentially, we're getting invalid characters in the agent log file. So there's a specific trace level you can put on that will confirm whether or not you're hitting this particular bug. Details are in the APAR. We don't have a workaround for it yet or a fix. It's being looked into, but if you need further information, check out the APAR details.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't actually cause you any harm in your environment. It's more of a case of you reviewing the logs. You get some funky looking characters in there. So this APAR has been raised. Obviously we want to try and fix it to make the logs a little bit cleaner, but also if you do happen to look through your own logs and see these strings, you'll be able to Google it and this APAR should pop up so you know what they're for going forward.
Okay, so next this month we are going to look at the top flashes, product updates, vulnerability notifications, all that kind of stuff. First one is for Cognos BI, which comes bundled with the latest version of TCR. Now this is an issue where you're running your reports and you will get back an error code 12019. It's not all the time, it's an intermittent problem because we all love those ones. So this is actually a problem with the underlying HTTP server. Now there's a link to a Microsoft tech note. So this isn't specifically a Cognos problem, it's a problem interacting with the IHS. So it looks like the only way to get around this is to downgrade the version of your IHS. So it's not ideal, but if this is something you're seeing, we do have a workaround for you. So moving on from that one, we have another Cognos one, and this is where you have reports failing with a DPR error 2002. Now this is actually a problem with permissions on a script within Cognos. This is the CGS server.sh file. Basically, you need to make sure that that has execute permissions on it. If it doesn't have execute, it's going to fail with this. Now, this is something that can happen sometimes when you run an install. Permissions sometimes don't get set correctly on files, so it's a nice, easy fix. Just go in, set execute permissions, and you should be golden.
Cool. The next three I'm going to bundle as one, really, because they're all around the same sort of subject. So the next two on the list, if you're reading through the newsletter, they're all to do with Java security patching. So there has been a standalone fixes released for the tech browser client. There's been another one for mainstream ITM. And the third one on the list is for IHS server. There's been a vulnerability patched in that as well. Again, standalone fix has been released. So if you are needing to keep up with the latest security in your environments, always check the flashes section of these newsletters because we make sure we put those in every month so you don't miss any. Those are the three you're probably going to have to look at and see if you need them in your environment or not. Okay, we've come to the last section of the newsletter. This is the DW Answers section. So in the DW Answers section, we take all the DW Answers posts that have been most relevant for the month. DW Answers in general is trying to be a collaborative community. Somebody will post a question, others will all post their answers or opinions, and it tries to build up a big sort of collection of a database from all the different various viewpoints. So the first one we're going to kick off with is how to reinstall the IHS server for the TEPS. Now, hopefully you won't have to come across this, but for any reason, if you do have to reinstall, it can be a bit of a pain. This post has been how to do this, and then there's a few other people commenting on some of their experiences. It's a great way if you do get stuck maybe through the process, you can ask questions about it and others can answer for you. Next up, I believe, is you.
Yeah, so this is a question about somebody's encountering a problem when doing historical collection. They're getting an invalid hostname message for the CSV file. This has been answered by one of our colleagues in America. Now, essentially, this is an issue with CTIRA hostname and CTIRA system name not being set. So it's a good answer. It looks like it's a lot of people are finding it useful. So check this one out if you're having problems with this.
Yeah. On a total side note on the CTRA hostname and system name, you would not believe the amount of PMRs we still see. If you are going to set that on your systems, make sure that every agent on that box has the same identical settings in every one of their profiles. It can cause issues with connections, TEMS connections. So if you are going down this route and you're looking at this one, you're obviously using it. So just make sure you're sort of doing best practice when you're going along with this. It will save you a lot of pain down the line. Next one up then, if you want to run TACMD commands from scripts rather than log in yourself, this is a post about how you can do that, how you can use TACMD login through a script to obviously log into the TEMS to be able to run your commands. There's a few posts again starting to appear on this one of other people's experiences. So if you are going down that route, again, post what you've seen and hopefully we can build up a better community with it.
So moving on after that, we have one that is to do with the ITM reports running in TCR. Now, this is where essentially they run, but they never actually finish. So if you have a dig into the logs, now specifically this requires Pogo logging, which is not something we'd recommend you guys turn on. It's very resource intensive, very intensive log files. So frankly, for Pogo logging, unless you've been asked specifically to turn it on, leave it alone. But with this one, the engineer turned on the Pogo logging, did a bit of investigation, and finds out that it's actually an out-of-memory problem. Now it can be a fairly common problem with Cognos and TCR if you're running reports that are covering a large timescale or that are coming back with millions, in some cases tens of millions of hits. You're going to run into performance issues. There's some links in this answer, basically going through some performance tuning that you can do, the Java heap and so on. So if you are having problems, check this one out.
Definitely, and probably a side note to that is look at your data. Are you collecting too much historical data that you don't really need, which is then having a knock-on effect on your TCR reports? We see a lot of PMRs come in where there is just everything turned on historical-wise, and then you ask what the business justification is for that, and you don't normally have one. So maybe look at both ends of the scale, not only if your reports are too big, but maybe can you stem the flow going to the reports the other side of it. So,
yeah, there is a habit of some people, especially when their environment's new, simply turn on everything, log everything. Yeah. But like Mark says, you really have to ask, if you're pulling back a report that's got 3 billion rows of data in it, what actual use is that to your business?
Yeah. So if you do get stuck, again, post back, we can try and help you out, but probably worth correcting the initial hit if you can. Last on the DW Answers list then, this is how to back up and restore ITM components on the AIX platform. So this one has had a few hits this month. There was a few comments, so we thought as it seems to be trending a little bit, we'll chuck it in the bottom. Long and short of it is most configuration is stored in the Candle home directory, and as it's a Unix-based system, you can copy that directory while everything is stopped, and do stop it before you do it. And you can back that off, and you should have a full backup that you can restore back to the file system and go again if you need to. So if you are looking at backup and restoration, especially for failovers, things like that, DR, disaster recovery sites, things like that, it's a good blog to probably keep your eyes on. I think that's probably us done for today, isn't it?
That is it for this month.
Yeah, so if there's anything you'd like to see in these newsletters, we try and cover the similar format every month. If there's something new you'd like to see, or maybe some requests you've got for features or information you'd like, please comment in the boxes below, either on YouTube or DeveloperWorks, wherever you happen to see this newsletter, and we can do that for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next month.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching this video at the IBM Monitoring Academy. We appreciate your feedback, so please feel free to use the comments box below. We'd also love you to check the thumbs up box if you appreciated this video. We have added several helpful links to the YouTube comments box below so you can find all our other content on social media. I would definitely recommend that you check out the blogs on DevWorks. Take care.